Hey everyone, so as you can tell, I've been trying to do some eco-dyed papers again. I saw a tutorial, a really good tutorial, very thorough. They were beautiful. I will link it below because, as I will tell you later in the video while I'm doing it, I didn't follow any of the rules, and obviously it shows. However, I will say these papers to me are beautiful. I wanted some grungy papers to make background papers and to make some grungy notepads with my rusty bits. I'm going to put some, does not have the paper in it, but I mean, this is the kind of thing that I was wanting them for. So as you can see, this really is more my style, but I will link her video below. Actually, there's two different ones that will give you a great thorough tutorial on how to do them where they don't look like this. If you're not into the grungy, it's more of the flower colors. There's not so much of this grungy. You can't really tell it, I'm sure, on my camera, but this is very dark, grungy papers. And, you know, again, it is what I wanted. I wouldn't have been upset if they had turned out good like hers did. But for what I want them for, this is probably more what I needed. I'm trying to move them around so you can really see the colors well, and it's not working. Here, I think it's better if I turn the light off. You can see them a little better. They're still not showing as pretty as they really are. Well, to me, as pretty as they really are. There's a lot more color in them that's really not showing up. These are the ones that I did with flowers and tea dye, some tea mixture, and some rust water. Not all of them have rust on them. You can certainly tell which ones I put the rust on. Does that help some? It does. Which ones I put the rust on, because they look more, even more grungy. But I love the colors. Still have some flower on there that these flowers gave. And again, my colors are all ran together because I did not follow instructions. Look how pretty that is to me. And if I had I think this one definitely had some rust water on it. See that grungy brown? And this one did too. And then I started, and some of the flower still ran off on several pages above. This is just tea dye. Here's more of the flower. I didn't clean my flowers off. Oh no, that's a hole. Yes, so you'll see I used these little bead looking, it's probably cotton, like cotton, the plant cotton with the little beads. It was dumb. Anyway, I put them on there, and of course, you know, common sense would tell you don't put anything that's knotty or sharp because it's going to wear a hole in your paper. Do you think that that stopped me? No, it did not. But I have a plan for those holes, and I think it's going to look really good. And I will show you some things at the end that I hope to do with these and how I'm going to use them. And hopefully you'll be like, ooh, she was right. That looks pretty good. But these are all the flower ones. There's a lot more of them than I thought there was. Oh, and this orange is the tiger lily. That is just so pretty. Goodness sakes. And they smell so good too. This one has rust water on it. I can tell because it looks more dirty than just the regular tea dye. See all this? That's rust water. I'm turning them so that you can really see the colors. Okay, now I think we're leading into the ones, yes, where I used stencils and laid on them. And again, mine did not turn out like they should because I didn't follow directions. And I will link her video below too, because her papers were beautiful. You can see where the color of the flowers kept seeping through the papers, and I love that. But they are two separate people. The one that used the stencils, was showing how you could make tea-dyed paper with a design on it in a small amount of space. And like I said, I didn't... Isn't that pretty though? The stencils. I didn't follow directions. And this is a ghost print from some of them. Some of them look lighter because it's a ghost print from the pages before. I don't know if you can tell, there's a little bit of stencil on this one too. This is grungy. This is some of the rust water and the tea dye. And then this just looks like a tree. See that pattern on it? I'm not sure why it looks like that, but it looks. This one looks like you spit chewing tobacco on it, but I think I can fix it too. I think I can use it and make it look... I don't know why it looks like that. This was the very last sheet I laid on the top, so I don't know. I don't know if this was some rust water that I don't know. But it looks like chewing tobacco. That's the only thing I can think. Somebody spit on it. And then I think this doesn't look very nice over here, but really I think I can do something with that. This doesn't look like it has much color, but in real life it does. It's very grungy. More of the tea dye with the stencils, and my stencils didn't ghost print as far up as, because she was saying that you could lay 3 or 4 sheets on and it would continue to ghost print. Mine didn't. Again, I didn't follow directions, so of course it didn't. This is more of the rust and the tea water. And I think this just reminds me of tree bark. And I think the reason this looks so dark is because this is the school lined paper. You've heard me call it elementary paper. So it has those blue lines in it. And I think the rust water... Normally when I tea dye this, I let it soak, completely submerge it, and those lines go away. But by just dipping it and spraying it, it kept the lines. And I think that blue is what made the rust water look even darker on those pages. Here's one with the stencil that you can see. More of the flowers coming through, and this is more of the rust water. Oh gosh, look at this one. See how dark it is? And it looks like tree bark. It's got the markings, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if I had it wrinkled. I do think they're going to make good background pages for what I have in mind. I hope they do. Just finished showing you these here real quick. Look how dark that is. That's the rust water. This is just tea. And you can kind of see the stencils on this one. Not very good. Not like hers. I'm telling you. Hers were beautiful. But again, if you follow directions, Christy, you might get it right. But as you can tell, I wasn't really concerned about it. I was just having fun. I wanted to make grungy papers, and that's what I did. Made some very grungy papers. That one's pretty. I have just a few more, and then we'll get to the actual process. If you still want to see it, if you want to make grungy like this, I'm going to show you how I did this. More of the stencil. This one had a pretty good stencil on it. I'm not sure. It had rust water and tea dye. The lady that did the flowers, she actually used onion skin, liquid, and avocado. And hers were beautiful. So keep in mind, hers were not grungy. And that's something I wanted to tell you. I mean, I know that we tend to click on things that appeal to our... Isn't that pretty? Appeal to our eye. And if you're not into grungy, you're probably not going to click on this video, because I'll probably have some sort of a picture on here that resembles all these things. But just keep in mind, there are ways to always make things like you want them. And of course, like I said, if you don't want grungy, you can follow their tutorials like you're supposed to, and you'll have beautiful, beautiful papers. I think these are beautiful, but they're definitely not for everybody, and I so understand that. So, if you want to see how to make these stick with me, I will show you my process, how I put these together, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you some things that I have done with these, hopefully some really cool things. You know, it's kind of hard to steer away from too much when you're making ephemera. It's, you know, either a tag, a pocket, or a notebook, something. But I think maybe how I can use them as background papers will make them look pretty good, I hope. Some of these, like this one that's really has a lot of color, I will probably just use it as a journal page. I won't cut into it. But some of the ones that, like a tour or whatever, I will use those to make other things. So, let's get started. Hey, so I thought I would tell you all the things that I'm doing wrong to begin with, so that if this didn't turn out, you'll know why. I am using pretty strong tea, and it's not very warm. I mean, I believe she said it was supposed to be warm. It's not. And then I also have some rust water, and it is not warm at all. So, I'm thinking for the purpose of the flowers, that's why it needs to be warm, so that the color from the flowers will pull out. However, I waited too long for my tea, and I didn't feel like reheating it, so here we are. So this is just a I don't know if it's a basting pan, pretty good size. The bottom of it's probably 11 inches across, and I'm guessing 13 inches long. And that's what I'm going to use to stack my papers in. Another thing I'm doing wrong is you're supposed to use heavier paper, not coffee paper, because it may tear. Well, most of what I have here is copy paper. I do have some watercolor paper, and I have some of my favorite tea dye paper, which is the Dollar Tree. I call it elementary paper. I don't really know what it is. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And then I've also got some dried flowers. This one is Lily. This says Don't Forget Me. I thought it was lavender, but it's not. And I'm not sure what these are. It's just a mix of pink and looks like a little bit of baby's breath that's probably been dyed. I don't know what this is. But just some dried flowers that I'm going to sprinkle around in there. Probably not the white ones if I can help it, because that's not going to do me any good. But anyway, so those are the flowers I'm going to be using. And then I'm also going to use some stencils on the top. I saw another lady do a video on if you want to have patterns on your paper but you don't have a lot of room, this is the procedure for that. So I'm kind of mixing two things together, and I'm not following any of the rules. So we'll see how it goes. And because this isn't a well thought out plan, I didn't take time to find any of my big stencils that would leave a neat pattern, you know, like a continuous pattern. So I've just picked up some of these smaller ones that I have, and I'll lay hopefully 2 on a page, and they're just kind of all these designs, crazy designs, floral designs. I'm sure this has a name, and I can't think of it right now. So I think to get started, I'm going to have another pan. This is just a metal throwaway pan, and it's 8.5 by 11.5. I planned on using it, but it's just not big enough. My papers will bend, and I didn't want them to be scrunched up. So I'm pouring about half of my tea water in here, because I'm going to dip my papers in it so that they're for sure completely saturated when I start laying them down. I'm going to dip them first and then spray them as well. So I think I'm just going to start with some of the copy paper. And like I said, I'm just going to dip it quickly in this water. And then I'm just going to lay, I think I'm going to do the flowers first. So I'm just going to take some of these dried ones, and these aren't really dry. They're kind of got a moist feeling to them. I mean, they're not what I would consider dry. And I'm just going to break them up on here. And I think I'm going to use a combination of all of them just to try to give it a really neat color, if it works. And I'm just kind of breaking them up a little bit. I don't know. I don't remember if the lady did that or not. She may have just laid whole pieces on there. It doesn't matter because I haven't done anything else like I was supposed to on here, so why start now, huh? Boy, it smells good. These orange ones smell really good. These lilies. So I think I'm going to spray them with just tea at first. And maybe don't spray too close where you don't move your stuff around. Actually, what I may do is just spray this and then lay it down on top of it. Like that. Guess I could have just dipped it. That was the purpose of the dipping pan. So I'm just going to do a few layers of this. See what this does. And then I'm going to do some of the... I think I might leave some of these sticks just to... I don't think it'll leave any color, but I think it will leave nice markings. Yeah, these definitely do not feel like dried flowers, this box. They almost feel wet. Get that again. And I'm just going to keep tearing up bits of flowers, dip in the water, and then spraying on top. And I'm using both. As you can see, some of that's like darker water, so that's the rust water. But I do use the tea and the rust. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I run out of the little box of dried flowers. And then I'll switch over into the stencils. And I'm just alternating between types of paper too. I didn't do all of one kind and then put down the next kind, which I don't know, might have been a better idea. Okay, at this point I'm done with the flowers, but I'm wanting to put some layers in between. I don't know why. I guess it would look kind of good if I didn't. So let's maybe go ahead and put a few stencils down. Like so. And then it said to layer the papers in between the stencils. Just spray and layer them. Don't put any more stencils. That you could get like 3 or 4 ghost prints just from that one. So we'll see. I think this is my 3rd sheet. I'll do 4 sheets and then I'll put some more stencils. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm putting 2 stencils to a sheet, and then I spray both sides of the paper and layer about 3 to 4 sheets in between the stencils. And layer like that until I run out of tea, and then I just start using the rust water and continue this until I run out of stencils. And also, it's kind of hard to see, but I do press the papers down firmly between the layers. I do that on the flowers and on the stencil. Alright, so I'm going to take this outside because it's very sunshiny, and I'm going to set something heavy on the top. But I think the sun won't see it, but I think the heat and sun, of course, will make it dry faster. Maybe pull more of the color out since I didn't have heated tea like I was supposed to. And we'll come back when this is dry. Wish me luck. You have seen all my mess ups and why these probably didn't turn out like the other ladies did, but that's okay. I'm happy with them. I like how they turned out. I did some play with these little boxes. Aren't they cute? Grungy and cute. I did them two ways. This one I actually sewed the paper onto the box, and this one I sewed the papers and glued them to the box. But I thought they turned out cute. I saw this little short, a little YouTube short by Marley Designs, and she made, oh, it was so cool, one of these little things. But it was a short, so there was no tutorial or how to do it. I Googled how to make a small flip-top box. No such luck. So I sat down and figured it out myself and made my own little box. This one I just put some little grungy notepads in that I used these papers. This is actually a different method, though. I did some bubble painting. This is one of the papers that I made. I did some stamping and things on it. I'll show you that here in just a second. But so this box, I just put a couple little notepads in it. But I made this box from some of those papers, as well as this one, this paper. And what I did for this box, I haven't put anything in it yet, and I tried to highlight the pink that was in it from the flowers, and I just did a little bit of brushes on it, let the colors that were already there stay, and just pulled a little bit more into the background. And I'll probably make some tags with it. I actually thought about these two pieces were big enough. I might make a small, some kind of a little journal. This paper was one that was tea-dyed and some of the flowers bled onto it, so I just did some distress inks and stamping on it to make, a more grungy background. This was, oh, these metal letters and numbers I thought would be cute to tie onto the boxes. Wouldn't that be neat? Or put one of the numbers on the back or something. I thought maybe I could decorate with some of these rusty pieces or just put them in it. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a cute idea. I loved her short, and it, how sometimes you see things and you think, I've got to be able to make that. Well, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, you know I can't measure or use a scoreboard, so needless to say, it took me a whole bunch of boxes to try to figure it out, but I did. So this is some of the school-lined paper. I call it elementary paper, and it was really dark like this. So I left the back so you could see how I altered it, and I just let that darkness come out. Used a little bit of acrylic paints and some stamping, but I mean, for the most part, I kept all of this dark that was on there, and I thought that really turned out to be a pretty paper. This was just one of the normal tea dye ones. Yeah, it has a little bit of pink on it from the flowers, which I thought looked good with the stamping. This is actually stenciling, not stamping. But this is the color of the paper other than the stenciling. It's that really pretty yellowish gold color. This was another one that was a kind of had the rust on it, so it was pretty dark. And again, I just let it pull that dark, did some acrylic paints to accentuate it, drew a few bubbles. This idea is by Creative Design, I believe, and she does all kinds of watercolors and uses all kinds of mixed mediums, and it's so pretty. Same thing on this one. And this was the one that looked like somebody had spit tobacco on it. So I just enhanced it again with some acrylic paints, drew the bubbles on it, a little bit of stamping, and left the big pieces, and I thought it turned out good. Now that you know it was the spit paper, you see it, but otherwise I think it blended in good with the pieces. This was one of the ones that was tore, so I was just trying to show how I could use some of the age tape to fix that, make it look better, and still be able to use it in a journal or a card. And this one, I just did some stenciling on it. Didn't do anything to the back, just to the front. This was another one of the rust-dyed ones that was really dark. And I thought it looked like wood. So I, in my head, was kind of acting like this was a crate, you know, wooden crates. And so I did some stenciling on it, like maybe the labels on a crate that would be on a cargo ship. I know that's far out there, but that's what I was thinking. Same with this one. So that's just a few of the things I've done with my papers. I hope that you will try your own eco dyeing and dyeing with stencils and all the things. Maybe, if nothing else, I gave you some inspiration on this video. Maybe you like these scrunchy papers as well, just like me. Thanks for watching. I hope you like these and maybe got some inspiration. And if you're interested in seeing these little boxes, how they're made, let me know below and I might do a little tutorial on them. I actually did do measurements and used a scoreboard. It was a big deal. Anyway, thanks for watching and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.